Chapter 240. Why? Once I started studying the movie making process, I had a new appreciation for its artistry. The turning of words into action.
You walk in, see him, you got your head down. You walk in, see him, you look, boom, and he put boom, boom. And then you come like you chasing him and run back out, boom. Yeah, she saw him, but you imagine he coming from this side. Yeah. So when he popped, coming in, young. Action.
I'm sorry, goddamn, for real.
Static letters into moving images. Acting. Sound. Music for each mood. The score. The color filters. The storyline. The consistency of the wardrobe and hairstyles from scenes that might have been shot months and miles apart. The scheduling. The coming together as one unit to create a project. The illusion. The possibility of shaping opinions and the creating of your own narrative. The more I wrote, the more I started seeing movies in a different light. I understood that every line in the film was only there to further the story. Or supposed to be. I started listening more closely, and now some of my favorite movies I began to scrutinize. Some of my favorite films I started to dislike, and some of my favorite scenes I started to despise. Example, The Godfather. Here was a movie that has single-handedly influenced and encouraged countless young Italian, white, Hispanic, and black men into a life of crime, prison, and death. Yet, it was praised by everyone. It had young Italians wanting to be mafioso, and even mobsters began acting like the actors. They all thought they were Vito Corleone.
I don't want it near schools. I don't want it sold to children. That's an infamia. In my city, we would keep the traffic in the dark, people to call it. They're animals anyway, so let them lose their souls.
The movie was praised as a masterpiece, yet with not one black character in the whole movie. Those animals were calling us animals and using the N-word to refer to us. Imagine a scene with around 15 uneducated lower-class Italian immigrants sitting around a table conspiring on extorting other uneducated lower-class Italian immigrants. Conspiring on killing other uneducated lower-class Italian immigrants. Conspiring on destroying other uneducated lower-class Italian immigrant families. Families that fled Italy because of Mussolini's fascism. And when they arrived in America, white Americans called them filthy criminals and even lynched them. Yet, here they are, in this masterpiece of a movie, conspiring on killing their own people. But, wait, they don't sell drugs. Because drugs destroy the community. Drugs are bad. But they will sell it to us because we are animals with no soul. Drugs are bad, but torturing people is cool. Chopping up people is cool. Drowning people with concrete shoes is cool. But drugs? Hell nah. Leave it to the dark people. They have no souls. These uneducated lower-class animals refer to us as animals. These are people that inspired crime on an unimaginable level. Yet, they refer to us as animals with no soul. This was hilarious. But why though? Why did writer Mario Puzo and director Francis Ford Coppola feel the need to add those lines? I understood it was to capture the character for who the character is, a racist piece of shit, and also to capture how these characters spoke. But I was still confused on why did they feel the need to disparage black people. It was totally unnecessary. Many cuts had to be made for the too long and over-budgeted film, but they all felt the need to leave that scene. They all felt the need to leave that line. Why? The movie wouldn't have been any different without that line. So obviously they felt it was important to be placed there.
They're animals anyway, so let them lose their souls.
Damn, that's crazy. This wasn't just an uneducated Italian immigrant speaking. It was Hollywood speaking. It was America speaking. Scarface, a remake of Howard Hawks' 1932 film based on the rise and fall of America's most well-known criminal, an uneducated lower-class Italian immigrant by the name of Al Capone. Again, not one black character. Yet, a cokehead Tony Montana is in a jacuzzi telling his cokehead white girlfriend to give some money to the poor black kids. He even put us in the same category as lepers, people that were suffering from a disease called leprosy.
Why don't you get a job or something, you know? Do something. Be a nurse. Work with blankets, lepers, that kind of thing. Anything beats lying around all day waiting for me to fuck you, I tell you that.
Why? Are they no poor white kids? Why did the writer, coke addict Oliver Stone, and director Brian De Palma feel the need to add this? Why did they feel the need to have that line placed? Why were those despicable drug-abusing criminals disparaging black people? Was it a dog whistle to say, no matter how low we are better than them? Tony Montana, a Cuban, was played by Al Pacino, an Italian. The movie location had to be relocated to LA from Miami after receiving death threats from the Cuban community for depicting negative stereotypes. Yet they still left that line into the final version of the film.
Do something. Be a nurse. Work with blankets, lepers, that kind of thing.
That's crazy. I saw it over and over and over. Movie after movie after movie. Gone with the Wind, Kings of New York, Bronx Tale, horror movies. I wondered why in so many movies the black character was the first to die. Why did the directors, writers, editors, and financiers decide that this was necessary? What message were they sending? It couldn't have been by happenstance because it happened so frequently. It happened so much that it became a running joke. Every director and writer was doing it. They even did it in the history books, where we were only taught about Crispus Attucks, the first man killed in the American Revolution. It was something they felt we should celebrate. The first man killed is a black man. But why were they doing this? Was Hollywood doing this because they were forced to desegregate? They only wanted movies with whites? Black should be all dead? Or if anyone is going to die, black should die first? It was a reason, and I wanted to know why. Why would they intentionally add a black character in an all-white movie as weak? or submissive, or a maid, or a butler, or a coward? Was it the editor's fault? Well, it was written into the screenplay. Was it the writer's fault? Well, it was directed by the director. Was it the director's fault? Well, it was financed by someone. Was it the financier's fault? They held a casting call specifically looking for that character, and they all had in mind what that character should look like. So everybody was in on a conspiracy. But why? I watched the Oscars, Tonys, and Emmys and noticed the same pattern. Blacks rarely won. The ones that were allowed to win had to play disparaging roles. Maids or butlers to whites. Chauffeurs or whores. Why?
Oh my God.
What message were they sending? Why did they feel this way towards people who look like me? That meant they felt this way about me too. Did this transcend into every aspect of life? Did the banker that approved loans feel that way? Did the CEO of the institutions we work for feel that way? Did the tax authorities feel that way? We knew the cops and the courts did, but did the most powerful politicians in the country feel that way? They obviously did, which means we were navigating in a world filled with our enemies. We were swimming amongst sharks and piranhas. We were living amongst pesticide, bacteria, slime, and sludge. Yet we unconsciously were playing into the screenplay that they had written for us. They were the conspirators and financiers that set the stage for the actors. Us. Then disparaged us for accepting the roles for a paycheck. Our Oscars, Tonys, and Emmys were the names of prosecutors and judges. We were our own directors, shooting a script that had already been written. When he yelled action, our action was action. When he yelled cut, our cut was cuts. Cuts to our body or a cut to run through. Cuts to our budgets. Cuts to our lifespan. Our flashing lights were gunshots and the po-pos. Our red carpet was blood. When our movies ended, it was the end. Roll the credits. Ain't no part 2. Chapter 241. Birth of a Nation. I knew that a racist, silent film called A Birth of a Nation was screened at the White House by the racist 28th President Woodrow Wilson in 1915. It was originally called The Klansman, and the screenplay was adapted from a novel of the same name. This movie was groundbreaking and one of the most influential movies in America's history. It portrayed black men, mostly played by white actors in blackface, as unintelligent and sexually aggressive towards white women. And it presented the terrorist organization, the Ku Klux Klan, as heroes that saved the white race from the black savages. This film was acknowledged as an inspiration for the rebirth of the Ku Klux Klan. But why? Why was it screened in the White House? Does that mean that everybody in the White House was savages? Why did they feel that black men were sexually aggressive towards white women? It was all propaganda and false. I saw how easy it was to change history with a hit movie. Scenes could be added or deleted. A filmmaker had no boundaries unless people were so incensed that they decided to protest the movie. And even then, the publicity would still make it a hit. Movies like the original Birth of a Nation and movies about war were all propaganda. the audience were really believing these false racist and propaganda narratives. Similar to how the government and the media portrayed Benny Lee Lawson as someone that killed cops because we thought he was a snitch, or that he supposedly had got raped in prison. It was all propaganda and all false narratives. Similar to how the government portrayed young black men as savages, while they invaded sovereign countries and killed millions of innocent people, but portrayed themselves as heroes. Similar to how the news only report negative false stats about black people over and over and over. Black people are more likely to die from cancer. Black people are more likely to die from car accidents. Black people are more likely to die from weed smoke. Black people are more likely to die from falling off a curb. It was all propaganda and lies. I love what I was seeing with my third eye, and I knew if they can do it, I can too. I could be a filmmaker. I could challenge history to counteract their false narratives. I can disparage them if they disparage us. I could highlight their negatives the way they highlight ours. With enough success and a large enough audience and following, I could shape opinions on whatever I chose as my subject. Filmmaking was a powerful tool that I was ready to tackle. I was gearing up, getting ready for the battle.